Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Daily 8 on WOODTV Plus. Phil Pinarski here. Happy to be with you all on this Wednesday. We really do have a jam-packed show. I know I say that pretty often, but we really do have an awesome show planned out for everybody. We've got those top 8 stories coming up in just a little bit, but we're also going to be getting you a look at some things to expect later on this week here at News 8, including our water safety special that is happening, actually airing tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We want to get you a little bit of a heads up on what to expect there. We also have a show that's already been put out here on WOODTV Plus, but it is going to be continuing throughout the football season. It's called Fantasy Plus. It is your one-stop shop to get all of your fantasy football tips and tricks and everything you need to know going into that. Maybe you've already drafted your team, or maybe you're about to, and you want to get those last couple of ideas. Well, we've got you covered with Fantasy Plus. We're going to have a preview of that new show as well, but we do want to begin our show today on the Daily 8 talking about what you can expect this weekend with the help of the Weekend Conversation. David Horak stopped by earlier today to talk all about what he has in store, and it has something to do with the long holiday weekend we've got coming up. David, it is so good to have you back on, my friend. Thank you so much for being here as we get set for another Weekend Conversation set for Saturday on Daybreak. We're very excited about it, especially considering we're going to have a little bit more time this weekend, given the fact that it is Labor Day on Monday. And that really is kind of the main focus behind this week's Weekend Conversation.
Sure is. Even though some of us crazies are not going to get the full weekend off,
Right.
We are, we're all obviously seeing a holiday on our calendars, a nice checkpoint to see where we're at in the year, and usually it's the official end of summer, and you kind of see Labor Day weekend as that. And however, you're like, well, what is Labor Day all about? Anytime you ask that, hopefully this will help us shed some light on it. It has to go back to this country's history with unions and the labor movement, the labor unions, the union movement, that whole shebang. So I talked to the Michigan AFL-CIO's president yesterday to have for our conversation this upcoming weekend about the ties that this holiday has to the union movement, and some of the parallels that there are still drawn today to when it was first formed back in the late 19th century, and then some of the ways that this holiday has, or some of the ways that the labor union movement's ongoing struggles and issues facing its members today, how they're different from when Labor Day was first put into effect and added officially to the U.S. calendar, Phil. So that's essentially the questions right there, but there is a different holiday that this might draw parallels to, and I asked him about what this, what it would be like in an alternate universe if this holiday in a different month out of the year was given the same treatment as Labor Day.
I think labor is moving towards that. There's a effort to get collective bargaining agreements that all expire on International Workers' Day, and use our collective power, which comes through our numbers. The power of our strength is our solidarity with each other, that we're always going to have each other's back. When one's in trouble, we're all in trouble, and that our greatest strength is our collective numbers and the power that that brings. There's efforts to unite the whole globe, workers of the globe together, to fight back as workers of the globe. And with outsourcing and all the things that go on with our jobs now today, that's what we need to do to sustain ourselves and grow stronger.
That is a pretty interesting side part to this whole thing, because, you kind of touched on it, that everybody, around Labor Day, weekend time, we're just excited to have that extra day off of work, maybe.
Right.
Some of us may still have to work it, but for the most part, we do get that time off. But we really don't. At least for me personally, and I feel like for a lot of people, we don't really stop and think about, why do we have this day off? And I think that is kind of what Ron and you were really getting at in this conversation, what people are really going to get to learn a lot more about this weekend.
There's also so many different connections to how, it could be related, connected to International Workers' Day, which Ron alluded to in that exclusive clip, with how, wonder what it could have been like if we had the same attention around like having a day off and all these other parades and events directly centering around the timing of this holiday. Wonder what that would have looked like if International Workers' Day got the same treatment. And so there's still a similar theme around it, of course, being the union movement. And yeah, if it weren't for unions, there would be no weekend. We would be working nonstop 7 days a week. And that's one reason why labor unions have a place in American history, and also why it also has why we have Labor Day. That was actually enacted as a holiday. They are the reason why. And so this was an interesting look back as the context of this weekend conversation. So for all of you watching who do get to have this weekend off, unlike us, some of us crazies here, this conversation's for you to kind of delight yourself into the history and the meaning, the significance, the reasons why we have an extended weekend, the first weekend of September.
Right, and I think this is going to also play into that, kind of giving people a little bit more gratification, I guess, towards maybe these unions that allowed us to have this, not only, fair wages and, better maybe work-life balances, but then also, again, this day off that's coming up this weekend. I think that is kind of really what Labor Day it should be all about, outside of, all the fun that people are probably going to be having.
Absolutely. So we shall see it. The conversation that is about this holiday coming up this weekend on Daybreak. We hope you'll wake up with us then.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, great stuff, David. Any exciting Labor Day plans? I mean, you're maybe kind of alluding to that you're going to be here on Monday.
Yeah, no extended weekend for this guy.
Right.
I work Saturday through Wednesday, in case any of you watching are curious, for some of us who work a weekend shift here at WOODTV. So there's that. So I'll have my 2 days off, and I will work this upcoming Labor Day. So cha-ching, double pay. No, weekend plans though, Thursday, Friday, if I were to, in an alternative universe, kind of move that over, it's literally just running errands, taking care of things that I normally don't get to on a Saturday or Sunday. Like, for example, appointments that are at offices, doctor's offices per se, that are not open on Saturday, Sunday. I can do that. So I got one appointment ready to go. And quite frankly, sometimes an open schedule is good enough, Phil. And I think that's the plan right now. The plan is to have no plans.
Exactly.
So we'll just leave it at that for now, for the most part.
Absolutely. Well, if people are interested in maybe finding something fun to do this Labor Day weekend, we do have a list right now of all the fun activities going on across West Michigan that you can find right now over on our website, woodtv.com. But also coming up tomorrow morning, Thursdays, it's Weekend Planner Day. We're going to have a full list of some other fun things to check out, including the Greatest Generation celebration happening over at the Ford Museum. There's a parade, a flyover. There's a ton going on. We do have more information on our website about that as well.
And again, Phil, so much centering around the timing of Labor Day. Again, it makes you think, what if, what could have been, should have been, if it had a different outcome with maybe International Workers' Day, which is a holiday around the world. Wonder if you got the similar treatment for Labor Day weekend here in the United States back in May when that is on the calendar. So again, fascinating how there's so many events that thankfully we have it all chronicled in the weekend planner by some guy named Phil Pinarski, I think.
Some Yahoo. I will say this, though, probably would be nice to maybe have International Workers' Day off, too. I know I'm maybe getting a little greedy, but I mean, May and September, maybe just finding those extra days off,
at
not
this
a bad
point,
thing.
Phil, like every day is a holiday. Like we find National Apple Pie Day, and, National.
It was National Onion Ring Day, I think, yesterday or the day before, something like that.
Why didn't anybody go to Red Robin and get a tower of onion rings to celebrate?
We should have the whole day off, honestly.
We always find an excuse or reason, one way or another, to celebrate a holiday. So I would definitely vouch for that too, Phil.
Absolutely. All right, well, awesome stuff, David. We're so looking forward to the weekend conversation. Remember, everybody, it is airing this on Saturday morning on Daybreak here at News 8. So we're looking forward to that, David. Thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you again next week.
Sounds good. You bet, Phil.
Great stuff from David. Always appreciate the time from him. If you weren't already excited about the weekend, well, now you've got another thing to look forward to, that being the Weekend Conversation on Daybreak this Saturday. Be sure to check it out then. We are going to be taking a quick break now here on the Daily 8, and on the other side of that break, we'll get you those top 8 stories that we're following here today here at News 8, and we'll also get you a look ahead towards Thursday's water safety special here on News 8. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everyone, to the Daily 8. Let's go ahead and jump into our countdown now of the top 8 stories that we're following on this Wednesday. And we actually begin this countdown with a wrap-up of a few stories that we've been following this morning and even a little bit yesterday afternoon as well. All of these stories involve vehicle accidents on the roadways across West Michigan. The first story that we're going to be bringing you happened just before 2:30 yesterday when a semi-truck crashed into the 146th Avenue overpass on US 131 in Door Township. Thankfully, no injuries were reported, but a section of the southbound lanes remain closed as crews work on the cleanup. We also had 2 separate deadly crashes early this morning, one in Wayland Township and the other in Nelson Township. The Wayland crash happened along US 131 around 5:30 a.m. The crash involved 2 cars. One person died on the scene on the way to the hospital, and 5 others were injured. As for the Nelson Township crash, that happened around 6 this morning on Northland Drive. Authorities say one of the vehicles involved crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. The driver of the vehicle that was hit died at the scene. They have only been identified as a 63-year-old man from Howard City. The driver of the original car and another driver both suffered serious injuries and were taken to a nearby hospital. And a scary sight you just saw it in Portage this morning as a school bus was involved in a pretty serious crash. It was just after 8 a.m. when a car rear-ended the bus. Thankfully, though, no students were hurt, and the driver of the car only suffered minor injuries. Investigations into all of these incidents are now underway. A man who was working on a mechanical lift on the east side of the state died Monday after accidentally touching a live power line. The Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration confirmed to news outlets that the incident took place in Sterling Heights Monday afternoon. The worker, who has only been identified as a 41-year-old from Grosse Pointe Park, was said to have been using the lift to trim trees when he made contact with the power line. First responders were able to remove the man from the lift, but he was pronounced dead once he arrived at a nearby hospital. DTE Energy released a statement after the incident and said that it is working with investigators at this time. This marks the 24th OSHA-related death in Michigan so far this year. A man who was convicted of killing his parents in 2021 is now being charged with the murder of a 17-year-old who went missing in 2018. Portage Public Safety says the Kalamazoo County Prosecutor's Office had authorized the charges against 32-year-old Nicholas Johnson in connection to the murder of 17-year-old Bonifacio Pena. Pena was last seen with Johnson in May of 2018. Johnson had been listed as a person of interest in Pena's disappearance the same time he was convicted of killing his parents. Johnson now faces 1 count of open murder. He was sentenced to 2 concurrent sentences of 29 to 69 years for the death of his parents. Johnson is currently jailed at the Michigan Department of Corrections and is set to be transferred to the Kalamazoo County Jail for arraignment within the next few weeks. And some good news now out of the Michigan State House of Representatives as a budget has now finally been passed. The move comes with just weeks left on the clock for Michigan to put a 2025-2026 fiscal year budget into place before the October 1st deadline. The $78 billion budget passed by a vote of 59 to 45. The budget includes $3.4 billion for roads and over $100 million into public safety. The budget now heads to the Senate, where negotiations can begin and hopefully get to the desk of Governor Gretchen Whitmer as soon as possible. 3 years ago, the Palisades power plant shut down, and while the plant still isn't producing power, it is now back online. Holtec International, the current owners of the Palisades, have worked to get the plant back open since it shut down in May of 2022 in Covert Township. As of Monday, the Palisades officially moved from decommissioning to operation status. That means the plant is almost ready to receive fuel and get back to producing power. There are still some things that need to be worked out before then. Holtec says the final phase of the restart includes continued inspections, tests, and maintenance of the building to make sure that the plant is ready for service. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission announced the approval of the operating status license change last month. The goal is to officially open the plant back up by the end of this year. Also getting set to reopen is the 1928 Spillman Carousel at the Grand Rapids Public Museum. The carousel has been closed off from the public since January of last year as the team at the museum works to make the attraction more accessible for guests to enjoy. News 8 got a sneak peek at how the renovations are coming along. The carousel will now include a full ramp to access the ride and will also feature a chariot that has different accessibility features as well. On top of the carousel work, the museum has also worked to make the riverfront entrance and other parts of the building easier to navigate for those in wheelchairs or those in need of some assistance. The plan is for the project to be completed by the end of the fall season. A new barbershop has opened up on the west side of Grand Rapids, and it's offering a retro flair. Stubble Grooming Studio is now welcoming customers on Leonard Street. The full-service barbershop offers everything from skin fades to traditional haircuts to hot towel shaves and even facials. Inside the shop, you will find nods to the haircutting industry's past with things like old-school blow dryers, and even the light fixtures tell a story. You can take a look inside the new Stubble Grooming Studio right now by checking out our story on woodtv.com. And we end things today with the great news that Hot Now is getting closer and closer to making its comeback in West Michigan. Crews worked fast Tuesday and in a matter of just a few hours turned an empty plot of land into the beginning stages of the new restaurant location. The building was assembled on 129th Avenue in Wayland Township in less than a day. The 737 square foot drive-through spot will now undergo the final touch-ups, including getting all of the cooking equipment inside and hooked up to all of the utilities. We still have a bit of time before Hot Now makes its long-awaited return to West Michigan. Owners expected to open sometime in October and will include those wallet-friendly prices for things like olive burgers and cheesy taters. The team relaunching the brand also hopes to soon open up a location in Alpena and eventually make more across the state of Michigan. And those are your top 8 stories of the day. As a reminder to everybody, you can check out more on each one of these stories as well as learn everything going on in and around West Michigan just by heading on over to our website, woodtv.com. Coming up after the break, we will get you a look at Fantasy Plus, a new show coming to Wood TV Plus. But before that, we do have a water safety special. It's called Beneath the Surface, and our very own Adriana Doria joined us earlier today to talk about her story that will be featured in that special. Let's take a listen right now. Adriana, thank you so much for joining us today. And as we get set for our brand new water safety special that is set to air right here on News 8 starting at 7 p.m. It is called Beneath the Surface. And again, really focusing on the water safety here. You know, people all across West Michigan love heading out to the beach, love going to maybe their local lake, even in their swimming pool. You know, it's just important to really keep these things in mind. And the special is going to go through not only some really helpful tips, but also tell some really powerful stories, really moving stories. And in this case, Adriana, your story, a very tragic story that I think a lot of people are going to be able to get at least something out of. You spoke to a mother who is really dealing with something pretty tragic that no parent really wants to face, and it happened to them really just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, July 25th, and it's something we covered, right? So July 25th, drowning at Long Lake Park. Come to find out, it was this little boy here, you can see on your screen, his name is Silas Palmer. He's 4 years old, and I spoke with his mom and his aunt. You can see them right there. I mean, just grieving. I mean, full of tears. You can't even imagine what they're going through. And they're trying to turn his story into more than him being a statistic and trying to educate and promote water safety and also just share his memory, because you can see from those pictures, I mean, biggest smile. He loved dinosaurs, they told me, but the crazier part about this story was his favorite place was the water. And so a big element you'll hear in the story was that was the last place he was, his favorite place. So mom said that brings a little bit of closure, knowing that like he left the earth smiling, he left the earth at his favorite place, surrounded by his family. But just it's still a hard story to talk about.
Right.
I'm sure rewatching it on tomorrow will be even harder for me and also them, I can imagine. But a really powerful story.
Absolutely.
And people going through the unthinkable and still talking with me and trying to promote, safety and education. And she wants to do good. And yeah, so crazy story.
Right.
The hardest ones to tell, but some of the most fulfilling stories too as a reporter. So yeah.
That was going to be kind of my next question.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously dealing with this, having to hear this story, hear
Yeah.
it right from the mother who lost a child. I mean, even watching it, even just watching your story, kind of, brought some emotions out of me. You're there in person. I mean, how do you manage to, I guess, continue to do your job as a reporter, but, also just deal with this obvious tragic story and just hearing it from the people that were impacted the most by it?
Yeah, I think, it's something we learn day to day, right? And, I've been a reporter now for just over 2 years, and you kind of have to tell yourself you're a human first, and your second job is to tell a story and to be a reporter. So it's just, taking moments of breaks, allowing them to feel what they want to feel, allowing them to say, I need to take a second. I need to, figure this out. And, trying to just do justice by them and tell her son's story, and try to take a very tragic and negative situation and maybe make it a little positive, and so that she can have something to remember him by and go back and watch it. And yes, it may be traumatic to rewatch it, but then you also see photos like this, and hopefully it'll bring a slight smile to her face. So yeah, it's the hardest part of my job and every reporter's job, but also, again, you're hopefully doing right by them. So yeah.
Well, we're very much looking forward to hearing that story as part of our full water safety special. Again, Beneath the Surface is airing this Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on News 8. We're also going to have a full recap and full replay of that special over on our website and right here on Wood TV Plus. Adriana, thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Daily 8. Of course, we're so excited about expanding our programming here on Wood TV Plus. Outside of just the Daily 8 and Daybreak Plus, we've got a couple of awesome shows that are currently in the works, and we're so excited about the restart of one of our shows, that being Fantasy Plus. What is Fantasy Plus? Well, it's your one-stop shop to find out everything you need to know about fantasy football, whether you've already drafted and maybe you're looking for a trade, or maybe you're looking to get some last-minute pointers before your fantasy football draft. We've got you covered. Aaron Lafferty, the host of Fantasy Plus, joined me earlier to talk all about what the show's about and what you can expect this season on Fantasy Plus. I am so excited for our next guest joining us now. It is Aaron Lafferty, one of our incredible editors here at News 8, but he is also now the new host of Fantasy Plus, our new fantasy football show that debuted its first episode already here on Wood TV Plus, with plenty more coming throughout the rest of the football season. As we get closer and closer, you're going to be seeing it pop up more and more here while you're tuning into Wood TV Plus. But Aaron, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Phil.
Of course. And, the first episode is in the book. You were kind enough to let me be part of it. And I got to say, it was so much fun. I don't think I've had that much fun here at work in quite some time. Just being able to not only talk about fantasy football, but also just have some laughs because Alec and yourself, kind of had me in stitches for most of that. Let's talk about that first episode, though. I mean, how did you feel like it went? How did you feel like that first, kind of get it? That's always the hardest part is getting that first one out of the way. How did you think it went?
Right. Well, I had a lot of help from you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think you handled it all pretty well on your own.
Yeah,
though.
it was a lot. It's nice being over in this seat now that
Right.
I've been over in your seat, which it's not easy. Gotta
Yeah.
give Phil credit. It was about a month and a half, 2 months that I've been putting this thing together. I've had ideas in my head for shows for a while, and fantasy football is something we just naturally are talking about this time of year anyways. So it's like, why not do something that we're already kind of working on? It's things that we think about, conversations we're already having with our coworkers. So it was just a natural flow into doing a show. The first show, if you've seen it or you're going to see it after watching this interview, it's our preseason. So just like the Lions didn't look great in their first game, our show isn't completely what it's going to look like when it gets done. We have some of our graphics are made, not all of our graphics are made. We borrowed some graphics from Phil's Daily8. We borrowed some graphics from the Frenzy. So we're really working on a lot of those things. I think I had too much content planned for the first episode
Right.
because we had about 45 minutes of stuff that we had to cut down, but it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Not always a bad thing to have too much content,
No.
especially kind of leading up into fantasy football. I know a lot of people, like you said, it's something that people talk about kind of day to day.
Right.
It's something that really people revolve their lives around for the most part.
Right.
Whenever they're in a league or maybe they're in a couple of different leagues. This whole show kind of revolves around the News 8 league itself. We're going to touch on that in a little bit. But what is it about fantasy football, Aaron, that you love in particular and that you think is just going to resonate with so many people tuning into Fantasy Plus?
Since I was a kid, whether it was baseball, basketball, football, whatever, we had pretend teams that we would do, whether it was, video game, that we would create leagues of video game teams that we would have, whether it was baseball or basketball or football, or if we were playing outside, I would be my favorite team and the other people playing would be their players. So for the longest time, I've been managing teams in my head, and this was just a way to do it in a more real life version. Obviously, it's called fantasy football, but also in video games like Madden, where you can create a franchise and draft your team and those kinds of things, or in not to promote other products, but like MLB The Show,
Yes.
you can draft a team, and so I've been doing that like my whole life, and it's like comes naturally, like trying to find that standout player that's gonna hit, that's really gonna help your team, or understanding the difference between one tip that I heard long ago that keeps reverberating in my mind is don't draft last year's best players, draft this season's best players. I've been in leagues where people have shown up to drafts with basically the list from like 2 years ago, and by that time, some of those players are not stars anymore, and you're reaching way early in those kinds of things. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, you probably kind of want that to be in your league, though. A couple of guys making mistakes like that every now and again.
That person will be remaining anonymous, but that person eventually got kicked out of the league because they kept showing up with old draft lists, and then they showed up late for the draft, and we'd wait for them. We're open 365, so
Right.
getting 10 to 12 or however many people are in the league together for one time, it's like time's ticking, and people showing up late, especially with old draft lists.
Right.
I remember he wanted to draft Priest Holmes, and he was like 5 years from being a star. It was
Right.
pretty much the end of his career. So
Yeah.
that person, if they're watching, they know who they are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe they just are big fans of Priest Holmes. You
Yes,
never know.
yes.
Maybe that's. I try to give them the benefit.
Yeah,
of
but
the
he was
doubt
past
there.
his prime. So
Yeah.
it was,
Well past his prime.
it
I'm
was
sure.
clear. It was clear when you're bringing
Right.
a sheet that's got the year from 2 years ago. So.
That's what you can tell.
Yeah.
And for people that are maybe haven't gotten the chance to check out that first episode and are kind of excited that we are doing a fantasy football show to not only answer some questions but also provide some helpful tips, especially going into some people's drafts. I mean, when people do tune into Fantasy Plus, what are some of the things that they can expect week in and week out?
Great question, Phil. The one thing that we're going to do is we're not like the sports networks. We're not going to have the insider knowledge on stuff. We're going to give you the insights of people who have done fantasy for years, who have managed teams, who have been through drafts, or right now we're in this off-season, preseason period where people are, oh, this player hasn't signed yet, or this person has a little injury at camp or whatever. We're going to try to navigate through those kinds of things with our experience versus we don't have the firsthand knowledge of who's in, who's out, I've got this insider. Other than covering the Lions, other than our sports team covering the Lions, we don't have that insider knowledge. So we're just going to use our experience and our years of fantasy football, whether we've won or we haven't won, or we've been to the finals, or right close there. Throughout the season, we're just going to be looking for ways to get you to the promised land of a championship. That's I think the goal. We've got a favorite segment. I think hopefully it becomes a favorite segment. I know that you and Alec liked it, which is the plus or minus segment.
Yes,
so
that was a lot of fun.
Got to get there. So plus or minus, are you in or are you out on a player? My little craft project.
They turned out great, by the way.
They turned out great, but it's a preseason version. It's not quite ready for prime time.
Yeah, right.
Basically, are you in or are you out on certain players? We went through quarterbacks. We ran out of time. We had a much longer list of going through that. We're also going to get, which is something I'm really proud of, is we've got Storm Team 8 is going to give us a forecast for Thursday night game. There's a couple of times where we actually have Thursday night games that are an indoor game, so we have to pick an alternate game. But most of the time, most weeks, it's going to be a Thursday night game. And then they're going to give us a forecast of what the weather's looking like for that Thursday night game.
Closer idea of what to expect each week on Fantasy Plus. Let's take a listen now.
We're going to start with quarterbacks. These are guys who were top in 2024 and are basically top ADP right now. That's average draft position. So I'll start, throw it to a 2-box here. Alec, Lamar Jackson, are you plus, are you in, or are you minus? Are you out on Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, it's a minus. And there's no disrespect to Lamar Jackson because you can just start him and forget him. I'm just not in love with getting a quarterback that early, almost always.
So?
Yeah. I guess I would got to make sure I have the right one. I would also say minus again if we're talking about the first round in particular. I feel like that is kind of what is one of the first things you learn about fantasy football is to not take a quarterback in that first round.
Futurecast, Canton is where that yellow star is on your screen, and you can see that it is going to be wet for most of the day on Thursday. As we get into the evening hours, again, kickoff is at 8 p.m. We should start to see some more isolated activity. So at this point, there's about a 20% chance at seeing some rain as we go through the Chargers and Lions game.
Phil's got first pick in wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I would
This
say
is a tough one.
Yeah, I would say Justin Jefferson should be the top pick wide receiver wise. I know he's dealing with an injury right now, so I'm not going to take Justin Jefferson. I'm going to take Jamar Chase. Again, I've been talking about how much I love Joe Burrow going into this season, and I think Jamar Chase is only going to benefit from that season. So I'll go Jamar Chase with the first pick.
Alec, where do you go?
Yeah, if for some reason my fantasy team has J.J. McCarthy, Justin Jefferson, and T.J. Hawkinson, I'm a little scared, but I can't deny Justin Jefferson at 2.
And I hope I'm not the only one that had a lot of fun on there. It seemed like a good group conversation about fantasy football, getting ready for the season, the upcoming season. And more specifically, I enjoyed being on that episode because it helped me kind of gauge where you and Alec both kind of look going into the News 8 League draft that is happening later this month. It's going to be the first time I've ever been part of the Fantasy Football League here at News 8. So excited about it. And that really is kind of what revolves around this entire show idea.
Yeah. Years ago, we had so many people that wanted to be in it. We had 2 10-team leagues, so we had 20 people. Also a scheduling nightmare to get everybody to draft at the same time. But we've got 12 people from the station. Our main rule is that you have to be an employee because there's so many people that want to be in it. We actually have a waiting list. And so something that we introduced last year is relegation, like in European soccer, where the bottom teams are out and new teams move in. So we've got 2 people that were on our waiting list. Phil, you were one of them. You've been here almost 3 years now?
Yeah, almost 3 years now, yeah.
So
Time flies when you're having fun,
Phil's
right?
been waiting, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 2 new teams that moved in. 2 of the bottom teams are out, and they'll have to wait their turn in line as well. It's fun. We draft most of the time, like at least half the league is in person, so that's fun. Once you've been in it a long time, me too many, I'm going to cover and say how many years I've been in the league. You get to know people's tendencies a little bit. Not that you know exactly where they're going, but obviously, we're here in Michigan, so you get a lot of people that are drafting Lions, probably a little bit earlier than you would in outside of Michigan or outside of the Great Lakes region. You get a lot of people drafting Bears. You get a lot of people drafting the teams in our area. You also have the other extent of that is you've got people who are saying, I will not draft a Packer, I will not draft a Viking. So, you got all those. It's a fun experience. It's fun. You get to talk about it. I know there's people that are not, they don't want to hear it as much.
Right.
But our show is the place to come and listen to it and to come and talk about it.
Definitely. And again, it is sort of those friendly rivalries as well, kind of like you're also part of the workplace family a little bit and just kind of get to hear all the jokes. You're going to be inviting people from the league onto the show each week as well to talk about just, how things are going there as well. Hopefully, again, it's going to be an awesome time. I'm very excited about the league to get started up again. And Aaron, before we let you go, it wouldn't make sense to talk about fantasy football with an expert such as yourself without some helpful tips for other people or some sleeper picks that you've got that maybe people are maybe glancing over when they're making their mock drafts. Who is on your sort of sleeper picks list, I guess, that you want to let us know here on today?
So I was talking with some of the sports team as we were developing this show, and they were hesitant because they didn't want to give up their strategy and give away things. Well, I won one of the leagues last year, not the work league. I was, I think, 4th place, whatever. I was in the semifinal. So I don't mind because I'm coming off of a pretty good season, so I don't mind sharing. I know other people might not be, but
you're a giver, Aaron.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Drake May, quarterback. He's my quarterback 11. If you look at it, he only played 13 games last year. He was quarterback 22 in 13 games. He rushed 7.8 yards per carry.
Wow.
If you can get that out of a quarterback, and now he's got Stephon Diggs, there's a possibility.
Right.
If you miss on the top tier guys, right? Let's say we talked about on the show, the first show, you don't want to take a first round quarterback because you're going to miss on other positions. So Drake May could be an option for you. I'm going to give you an even deeper sleeper, Bryce Young from the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
Remember, he was taken out to be in the starter, then he came back to be the starter. He ended up playing 16 games. He was number 20 in fantasy points for the season, and he averaged 5.8 yards per carry. So the guy can run. He's not traditionally known as a runner, but he can run like Drake May. He can pick up yards. He had 6 rushing touchdowns last year. You might not have known that.
Wow.
So keep those 2 in mind.
Yeah, most people probably weren't watching the Panthers, I would think. But
right, yeah, exactly. And they picked high for a reason.
Yeah.
Also on the Panthers, running backs, my number 17 running back is Chuba Hubbard. Right now he's going in the 4th round. So when you get to those middle rounds, like let's say you go wide receiver, and then you get a quarterback in the 3rd round, then you're looking around like what running backs are left. keep an eye on Chuba Hubbard. His numbers have changed. Right now, he's going in the 4th round. That could change depending on where you go. He was number 14 last year. He was quietly the 14th best running back last year. He had 10 touchdowns. With a depth chart that pretty much puts him as the starter with no real threat behind him. They drafted Jonathan Brooks. He's out for the season again.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of options there. And a deeper one, my 23rd running back is R.J. Harvey from Denver. He's going in the 5th round right about now. He's a rookie. Denver, Sean Payton. I'm high on that team this year, if you haven't heard in the first episode. For wide receivers, my number 27 wide receiver, Calvin Ridley, currently going in the 6th round. Tennessee was kind of a dumpster fire last year, but you've got a new quarterback, a rookie quarterback. If he's throwing to somebody that can catch the ball, keep an eye on Calvin Ridley for maybe like a wide receiver 3 for some depth. Wide receiver 33, he's getting buried in ADP, going in the 8th round, Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Formerly a household name. Now he's with New England. There's kind of a theme here. I've got some players from the same team. You get the discount in draft price because he's coming off an injury from last season. But when he played, in the 8 games he played last year, 15 fantasy points a game, you'd take that from your wide receiver 2.
Right.
Or if he has to become your wide receiver 1.
If you can get him as your wide receiver 3, even all the more better.
Yeah, that'd be a great flex player. And then last, some tight ends for you. Dalton Kincaid coming off the injury last year. He played 13 games. He averaged about 8 fantasy points a game. He's currently going in the 11th round. If you miss on those top tight ends, and we went through it on the fantasy show the first time, after the first 3 or even the top 5, it really starts to fall off, and they're all kind of the same.
Right.
So why not get somebody like Dalton Kincaid from the Buffalo Bills in the 11th round, or an even bigger, almost free price, Chiga Okonkwo from the Titans. He's got the rookie quarterback. Tight ends are favored by rookie quarterbacks. He was averaging almost 7 points a game last year. He played 17 games. He's played multiple seasons with no injuries.
Right.
I don't want to jinx him, but you can get him in like the 16th or 17th round, which is pretty much free at this point. So keep an eye on those two. If you miss on the top tight ends, if you miss on the top wide receivers and running backs, and you need some depth, take a look at those guys. One more little thing, something to keep an eye on, is those positions that are quarterback and tight end, you only play one a week.
Right.
You can only play one at a time. So keep an eye on where the draft is falling. Don't load up on quarterbacks and tight ends until the final rounds. If you want a depth piece because you want to back up, let's say you have a risky quarterback situation, somebody that's injury prone or something, it's the running backs and the wide receivers. That's where you need the most depth, because you've got to play at least 2 a week, depending on your league. Some leagues are 3 wide receivers, or you got the super flex, or our league has a flex position. So you've got at least a 3rd position that needs to be filled. So load up on those running backs and wide receivers, and don't forget about bye weeks.
Yes,
because
definitely.
if you don't have that depth, bye weeks are going to kill you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely all great tips, Aaron. We so much appreciate it. And we're so very excited to see Fantasy Plus into the future, going into the football season and staying up to date on everything going on inside our fantasy league. Hopefully, next time I'm on, I have some good news about the league, and it's not me being relegated, hopefully. But fingers crossed. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. We're so excited about it. Aaron, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. And if you watch the first episode, it's on the shelf. It's in the categories below. You get to find out what team Phil roots for, and I won't spoil it.
Exactly. It's an awful, awful headline if you're waiting to see who I do root for, but we'll save that for everybody to tune in to the first episode of Fantasy Plus. Like Aaron said, it is available right now over on WOODTV Plus. All right, really looking forward to the start up again of Fantasy Plus. Again, that is set to debut again later on this week, and really get everybody excited about fantasy football, whether you've already made your draft and you want some extra tips, or if you're really doing those last-minute researches on your draft. Definitely Fantasy Plus is the place to check out. We are going to be taking one last quick break here on the Daily 8, and when we return, Storm Teammate meteorologist Blake Carms will be in to give us a look at our forecast and how much longer this nice weather is sticking around. And welcome back, everyone, to the Daily 8. Storm Teammate meteorologist Blake Carms joining us once again. Blake, so good to see you again. I feel like you've been, kind of dodging me here. We haven't had you on the show in quite a bit of time, but so glad to have you back on.
It's good to be back. Yeah. It's you're right. Well, most of the time when I come on here, we talk about bad weather that's on the way. So
exactly, and
it just means it's been a nice
we
summer.
haven't had any bad weather to really, kind of blame you for. So
No, it's great.
Yeah, right. No, and again, it's been lovely out there. I think I've been kind of, maybe some people feel like I'm over exaggerating. I love this weather. It's so nice out. It's so beautiful. It's a little cold in the morning, but again, it feels like fall.
Yeah, my brother-in-law texted me. He goes, "Do we have any big warm-up on the way?" I said, "No, we don't." And I said, 50 degrees and sunny is a perfect start of the day.
Yeah, why are people complaining? Honestly,
I don't know.
Did they not remember the 90s we just had?
Right.
Anything to avoid that
it's
again.
hot and humid all summer. Those AC units are finally off. But it's that classic time of year where you use the heat in the morning and the AC in the afternoon, and life is good as far as I'm concerned.
Right. No, and it's not just, it's really all across West Michigan, including Grand Rapids. That is picturesque right there.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yep. Here's the view from downtown. Temperatures are in the lower 70s, so we are a touch warmer than yesterday. About 5 to 10 degrees in most spots. You see some clouds beginning to pop up over Grand Rapids. Allendale, more the same. Still plenty of sunshine. Pretty decent breeze, but a very nice late summer day is unfolding. We're at 71 in Grand Rapids, 72 in Holland, at 69 in Kalamazoo, and 67 in Battle Creek, 75 right now in Greenville. The humidity is very, very low. Dew points are in the 40s, which feels very refreshing, very comfortable. And again, satellite showing just scattered clouds, especially away from the lake. You can see the lake breeze that's formed in Muskegon, Ottawa, Allegan, and Van Buren counties, and that is going to gradually drift east through the day today. So all told, a very quiet day today. Showers are likely Thursday. It looks like our best chance of rain this week. That gives way to a pleasant holiday weekend, though, so Labor Day weekend is looking nice. Through this afternoon, we'll see temps in the mid-70s, a mix of sun and clouds, wind out of the west at 10 to 15, and sunset is arriving tonight at 8:25. That is the one downfall where we're getting to that time of year where you're like, oh, it's dark already, huh? And
it kind of snuck up on me a little bit yesterday, I'll say that. And then even this morning, I was like, all right, where's the sun?
Yeah,
Come on.
well, where's the sun? That's a question
I was
we're
running
be
late. The
asking
sun
a lot.
was running late a little bit. Yeah,
that's right. It's going to be a nice, refreshing night once again tonight. Warmer than it has been the last few nights, in the upper 50s to lower 60s. With that wind coming right off the lake, our lakeshore communities will be warmest. We are tracking a cold front off to our north. You can see it way up in Canada, and you see showers across the upper peninsula this afternoon. That's going to eventually make its way here. So we'll get through the rest of tonight and this evening with a mix of sun and clouds. Cloud cover will begin to increase toward tomorrow morning. That's as that cold front starts to come in. So by around sunrise tomorrow, we'll see some scattered showers and thunderstorms moving through. That's going to continue through at least the first half of the day. The front actually passes through sometime around midday, and then gradually through the afternoon and evening, we should see the rain end, a return to mostly clear skies and sunshine set to take hold for the holiday weekend. Now, that cold front isn't going to drop our temperatures all that much. We'll be down to the upper 60s for Friday, but then we climb up nicely for Labor Day. The high on Monday looks to be 80 degrees, which is pretty much perfect for early September. And it's a pretty quiet 8-day forecast. Our next chance of rain after tomorrow holds off until next Wednesday. So mostly sunny skies all through the holiday weekend. Seasonable temperatures, about as nice as it gets.
No, it is beautiful. And honestly, what better timing than for Labor Day? Again, that last kind of send off for the summer. Schools are already back in session, but again, that extended extra weekend, definitely going to be utilized, I think, here in West Michigan, especially with temperatures like that.
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking back 2 years ago, the Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day were all around 90 degrees and humid. And this year has kind of been the opposite. It's been still pleasant, but it's been cooler, definitely cooler. And this trend continues. Even though it's been a hot summer, our holidays have been cooler, and this one looks no different.
Exactly. And you know what? I will say this. Everybody kind of touched on it a little bit last week, but really, even looking at this 8-day, hopefully we don't see any more 90s. I really do feel like the 90s might be behind us.
Yeah. In fact, Matt was looking at the historical average over the last few years for our last 90, and it typically comes the end of August. And as you get deeper in the year, it can still happen. 2017, we had 90s, I think the second week of September, but it gets harder and harder to have it. And there are no major signs on the horizon for a major warm up for us. So I think this is going to be the status quo moving forward into September.
Great news. I mean,
It
of
is.
course, we'll probably end up getting a 90-degree day
Yeah.
in like October.
Yeah, and then it'll be
some
followed by
random
snow.
weather
Yeah.
event is going to happen probably.
It's been suspiciously quiet this
Right,
summer.
exactly.
Because we started off on such an active note. We had all those tornadoes. I was on here
Yes.
talking about tornadoes several times.
We were
It
talking
felt
about
like-
breaking the tornado record, and gosh, I
right.
don't even think we're close now.
No, you're right. When now, the last few months have just been so uneventful, and hopefully that continues.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
we'll make up for it at some point.
Definitely. Well, again, a great stretch of days upcoming. Again, a little bit of rain tomorrow to keep an eye out for, but for the most part, Labor Day looking very, very good. We'll probably learn a little bit more about the drought monitor tomorrow as well.
Yes.
New drought monitor should be coming out, so something
Such a
else to
good
be-
student. You keep up with it
You know
all.
what? You guys repeat it enough times, I'm gonna remember it eventually. And
Yeah.
eventually, I will. I'll start coming. You won't even
Yeah.
need you guys. I'll start doing the
Right.
weather probably.
Please, we'll always take
You
you to
guys can do
tracking
the
center.
news. I'll do the weather.
There
How
we go.
about that?
Yeah, no, I do think the drought monitor, I think the drought's going to be improved. The drought situation
good,
will be
definitely.
improved. So
Yeah. All right. Well, glad to see that. All right. Well, Blake, again, glad to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for stopping
you.
by. Always a pleasant chat with you. And I do want to thank everybody else for tuning into this latest edition of the Daily 8. We'll be back again tomorrow starting at 1 p.m. We hope to see you then. Until next time, hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm Phil Pinarski, and we'll see you next time.